The shrill ring of the phone pierces the silence of my empty house. I hesitate, knowing it's likely my daughter, Scarlett, with another complaint or demand. Reluctantly, I answer, bracing myself for the inevitable. "Mom, it's me," Scarlett says, her tone already dripping with annoyance. "I can't believe you're still living in that old dump. When are you going to sell it and move somewhere more suitable?" I sigh, the weight of her words pressing down on my chest. "This is my home, Scarlett. Your father and I built a life here together. I'm not ready to leave." "But you're all alone now, Mom. It's not safe for someone your age to be rattling around in that big house by yourself." I bristle at her condescending tone. "I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself, Scarlett. I don't need you to worry about me." There's a pause, and I can almost hear the gears turning in her head. "Well, have you at least thought about what you're going to do with your money? You can't just let it sit there doing nothing." The question catches me off guard. "My money? What are you talking about?" "Oh, come on, Mom. Dad must have left you something. Insurance, investments, something. You can't expect me and Damien to take care of you forever." Her words cut deep, revealing the true nature of her concern. "It's not about my well-being, it's about what she can get from me." "I'll manage, Scarlett. Your father made sure I'd be taken care of." "Fine, but don't come crying to me when you run out of money and have nowhere to go." She hangs up abruptly, leaving me staring at the phone in disbelief. Is this what our relationship has come to? A daughter who sees her mother as nothing more than a financial burden? I wander through the house, memories of Gerald flooding back with every step, the laughter, the tears, the love we shared within these walls. How can Scarlett be so dismissive of all that? As I sit down at Gerald's old desk, a glint of something catches my eye, a small key tucked away in the back of a drawer. Curious, I pick it up, turning it over in my hand. It's not one I recognize, but there's a note attached, written in Gerald's familiar scrawl. "My dearest Vivian," it reads, "if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and you're facing the challenges I always feared. But know this, I have not left you unprotected. This key unlocks the truth of our legacy. Follow its path, and you'll find the answers you seek. Trust in yourself, my love, and know that I am always with you." Tears blur my vision as I clutch the note to my chest. Even in death, Gerald is watching over me, guiding me through the darkness. With renewed determination, I tuck the key into my pocket and stand up. It's time to uncover the secrets of the past and face the future head-on. I may be a widow alone in this big house, but I am far from helpless. Scarlett and her greed will not break me. I am Vivian Hawthorne, and I will not be pushed around by anyone, least of all my own daughter. The truth will come to light, and when it does, she'll see just how wrong she's been about everything. As I sit at the kitchen table, my mind drifts back to the early years of my marriage to Gerald. We were young, in love, and determined to build a life together, despite the odds stacked against us. Gerald worked tirelessly to establish his accounting firm, often burning the midnight oil to ensure his clients' needs were met. I supported him every step of the way, managing our household and raising our daughter Scarlett. Even as a child, Scarlett was demanding and ungrateful. She threw tantrums when she didn't get her way, and always wanted more than we could afford. Gerald and I did our best to instill values of hard work and gratitude, but our words seemed to fall on deaf ears. As Scarlett grew older, her entitlement only worsened. She expected designer clothes, expensive gadgets, and lavish vacations, never once appreciating the sacrifices we made to provide for her. I remember the day she announced her engagement to Damien, a man cut from the same cloth as her. They demanded an extravagant wedding, insisting that it was our duty as parents to foot the bill. Gerald and I took out a second mortgage on the house to pay for the wedding, hoping that it would be a turning point for Scarlett, that she would finally understand the value of money and the importance of family. But as I sit here now, 5 years later, I realize how wrong we were. Scarlett and Damien's marriage has been nothing but a facade, a means to an end. They've continued to live beyond their means, racking up debt and expecting us to bail them out at every turn. The sound of the doorbell jolts me back to the present. I open the door to find Scarlett and Damien standing on the porch, their faces etched with false concern. "Mom, we've been so worried about you," Scarlett says, pushing past me into the house. You shouldn't be living here all alone. I bristle at her words, knowing full well that her concern is nothing more than a ploy to get her hands on my money. I'm fine, Scarlett. I don't need you to worry about me. Damien steps forward, his eyes scanning the room with a calculating gaze. Vivian, we've been thinking. This house is too big for you to manage on your own. Why don't you sell it and move into a retirement home? You'll be much more comfortable there. I can't believe what I'm hearing. They want me to give up the home Gerald and I built together, the one tangible reminder of our love and our life together. I'm not going anywhere, I say firmly. This is my home, and I intend to stay here. Scarlett's face twists into a scowl. Don't be ridiculous, Mom. You can't afford to keep this place up on your own. And what about your medical expenses? How are you going to pay for those? I take a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. Your father made sure I would be taken care of, Scarlett. I don't need your help. Damien leans in close, his voice low and menacing. We'll see about that, Vivian. You can't hide your assets from us forever. With that, they storm out of the house, leaving me shaken and angry. How dare they try to manipulate me like this? How dare they disrespect Gerald's memory and everything we worked for? As I sit down at Gerald's desk once more, I pull out the key and the note, reading his words over and over again. Follow its path, and you'll find the answers you seek. I know what I have to do. I have to uncover the truth behind Gerald's secret, the one that will finally put an end to Scarlett and Damien's greed and manipulation. I won't let them win, not now, not ever. With renewed determination, I set out to follow the clues Gerald left behind, knowing that the truth will set me free and bring justice to our family once and for all. The sound of the doorbell echoes through the house, and I steel myself for another confrontation with Scarlett and Damien. I open the door, plastering a smile on my face as they step inside, their expressions a mix of concern and condescension. Mom, we've been thinking, Scarlett begins, her tone dripping with false sincerity. It's not right for you to be living here all alone. You need to be somewhere safe where people can take care of you. I bristle at her words, knowing full well that their concern is nothing more than a facade. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself, Scarlett. I don't need to be coddled. Damien steps forward, his eyes narrowing. Vivian, be reasonable. You're not getting any younger, and this house is too much for you to handle. It's time to sell it and move into a retirement home. I feel my anger rising, but I force myself to remain calm. This is my home, Damien. I'm not going to abandon it just because you think it's best for me. Scarlett's face twists into a scowl. Stop being so stubborn, Mom. You're just making things harder for everyone. And what about your finances? How are you going to pay for everything on your own? I take a deep breath, remembering the note Gerald left for me. Your father made sure I would be taken care of, Scarlett. I don't need your help. Damien scoffs. Right, because Dad was such a financial genius. Face it, Vivian, you're going to run out of money sooner or later. And then what? You'll come crawling to us for help? I feel my temper flare, but I bite my tongue. I won't give them the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. I think it's time for you to leave. I say firmly, pointing towards the door. I appreciate your concern, but I'm not going anywhere. Scarlett and Damien exchange a glance, and I can see the anger and frustration in their eyes. They're not used to being told no, and it's clear they don't like it. Fine, Scarlett snaps, grabbing her purse. But don't come crying to us when you're broke and alone. They storm out of the house, slamming the door behind them. I sink into a chair, my heart racing. I know they won't give up that easily, but I refuse to let them bully me into submission. As I sit there, trying to calm my nerves, my eyes fall on the note Gerald left me. I pick it up, reading his words once more. Follow its path, and you'll find the answers you seek. I know what I have to do. I have to find out what Gerald was hiding, the secret that will finally put an end to Scarlett and Damien's greed. I spend the next few hours scouring the house, looking for any clues that might lead me to the truth. I search through old boxes, flip through photo albums, and even check behind the paintings on the walls. Just as I'm about to give up, I notice a small key taped to the back of a picture frame. My heart skips a beat as I peel it off, turning it over in my hand. It's not a key I recognize, but I know it must be important. I search the house from top to bottom, trying every lock I can find. Finally, in the back of Gerald's closet, I discover a small safe hidden behind a stack of old clothes. With trembling hands, I insert the key and turn it. The safe clicks open, revealing a stack of papers and a small leather-bound notebook. I pull out the notebook, my heart racing as I flip through the pages. It's filled with Gerald's handwriting, detailing investments and accounts I never knew existed. As I read through the entries, I feel a sense of hope and determination rising within me. Gerald had a plan all along, a way to ensure that Scarlett and Damien would never get their hands on our money. I know now what I have to do. I have to follow Gerald's instructions, to use this secret to finally put an end to their greed and manipulation. I won't let them win. Not now. Not ever. With a newfound sense of purpose, I tuck the notebook into my pocket and close the safe. It's time to take control of my life and my legacy, once and for all. I sit at Gerald's desk, the leather-bound notebook open before me. As I read through his meticulously kept records, a sense of awe and disbelief washes over me. Gerald had been secretly investing in a tech startup for years, pouring money into the company without ever mentioning it to me or Scarlett. The investments, I quickly realize, have paid off in a big way. The startup has become a major player in the tech industry, and Gerald's shares are now worth millions. But as I delve deeper into the notebook, I discover that Gerald had a specific plan for this money. He had set up a trust, with clear instructions for me to follow upon his death. The money was to be donated to various charities, with only a small portion set aside for my own use. I feel tears welling up in my eyes as I read Gerald's words. He had known all along that Scarlett and Damien would try to take advantage of me, to manipulate me into giving them money, and he had taken steps to ensure that they would never get their hands on his hard-earned wealth. As I sit there, lost in thought, the phone rings. I answer it, only to hear Scarlett's voice on the other end. "Mom, have you thought any more about selling the house?" she asks, her tone impatient. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the conversation to come. "Scarlett, I've told you before, I'm not selling the house. This is my home, and I'm not going to let you bully me into giving it up." There's a pause on the other end of the line, and I can practically hear the gears turning in Scarlett's head. "Mom, be reasonable. You can't possibly afford to keep that house on your own. And what about your medical expenses? How are you going to pay for those?" I feel a surge of anger rising within me. "Scarlett, I don't need your help. Your father made sure I would be taken care of." "What are you talking about?" Scarlett demands, her voice rising. "Dad didn't have any money. He left you with nothing." I can't help but smile at the irony of the situation. If only she knew the truth. "Scarlett, I'm not going to argue with you about this. I have my own resources, and I don't need you or Damien to take care of me." There's a long silence on the other end of the line, and for a moment I think Scarlett might have hung up. But then I hear her voice, low and menacing. "Mom, if you don't sell that house and give us the money, we'll have no choice but to have you declared incompetent. We'll force you into a nursing home and take control of your finances ourselves." I feel a chill run down my spine at her words. I knew Scarlett was greedy, but I never imagined she would stoop so low as to threaten her own mother. "Scarlett, listen to me carefully," I say, my voice steady and calm. "I am not going to be bullied or manipulated by you or anyone else. I have my own plans for my money, and they don't involve giving it to you or Damien." I hear Scarlett take a sharp breath, and I can imagine the look of fury on her face. "You'll regret this, Mom. You'll see. We'll find a way to get what's rightfully ours, one way or another." With that, she hangs up, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I know that Scarlett and Damien won't give up easily, that they'll stop at nothing to get their hands on my money. But I also know that I have the upper hand. Thanks to Gerald's careful planning, I have the resources and the knowledge to fight back against their greed and manipulation. I glance down at the notebook once more, a sense of determination filling me. It's time to put Gerald's plan into motion, to use his legacy to teach Scarlett and Damien a lesson they'll never forget. With a smile on my face, I close the notebook and tuck it away in the safe. The game is on, and I'm ready to play. The doorbell rings, and I know exactly who it is before I even open the door. Scarlett and Damien stand on the porch, their faces twisted into identical expressions of false concern. "Mom, we need to talk," Scarlett says, pushing past me into the house. "We're worried about you." I close the door behind them, steeling myself for the conversation to come. "I'm fine, Scarlett. I don't need you to worry about me." Damien steps forward, his eyes narrowing. "Vivian, we've been doing some research, and we think it's time for you to consider moving into a nursing home." I feel my heart skip a beat at his words. "A nursing home? Why on earth would I do that?" Scarlett sighs, her tone condescending. "Mom, you're not getting any younger, and we're concerned that you're not able to take care of yourself properly. A nursing home would provide you with the care and support you need." I can't help but laugh at the absurdity of her statement. "Scarlett, I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. I don't need to be put away in some institution." Damien's face hardens. "Vivian, we're not asking. If you don't agree to go willingly, we'll have no choice but to have you declared incompetent. We'll take control of your finances and make the decision for you." I feel a surge of anger rising within me. How dare they threaten me like this, in my own home? "I'm not going anywhere," I say firmly, my voice steady and calm. "And if you think you can bully me into submission, you're sorely mistaken." Scarlett's face twists into a sneer. "Don't be stupid, Mom. You can't possibly afford to keep this house on your own. And what about your medical expenses? How are you going to pay for those?" I smile, a sense of satisfaction filling me. "I have my own resources, Scarlett. Your father made sure of that." Damien scoffs. "What resources? Dad didn't leave you anything. Stop lying to yourself and face reality." I walk over to Gerald's desk and pull out the leather-bound notebook. "This is reality, Damien. Your father left me a trust with clear instructions for how the money is to be used, and I can assure you it doesn't involve giving it to you or Scarlett." Scarlett's eyes widen, and she snatches the notebook out of my hands. She flips through the pages, her face growing paler with each entry. "This can't be right," she mutters, her voice shaking. "Dad couldn't have had this kind of money. He would have told us." I take the notebook back from her, my voice calm and steady. "Your father knew exactly what he was doing, Scarlett. He knew that you and Damien would try to take advantage of me, to manipulate me into giving you money. And he took steps to ensure that would never happen." Damien's face is red with anger. "This is ridiculous. That money belongs to us, not some stupid charities. We'll contest the trust, take it to court if we have to." I shake my head, a sense of pity filling me. "You can try, Damien, but I can assure you it won't do you any good. The trust is ironclad, and I have no intention of letting you get your hands on a single penny." Scarlett's eyes fill with tears, but I know they're not tears of sorrow or remorse. They're tears of frustration and anger at being thwarted in her attempts to control me. "You'll regret this, Mom," she hisses, grabbing Damien's arm. "You'll see. We'll find a way to get what's rightfully ours, one way or another." With that, they storm out of the house, slamming the door behind them. I sink into a chair, my heart racing. I know that the battle is far from over, that Scarlett and Damien will stop at nothing to get their hands on Gerald's money. But I also know that I have the upper hand, thanks to my husband's careful planning and foresight. I glance down at the notebook once more, a sense of determination filling me. It's time to put Gerald's plan into motion, to use his legacy to teach Scarlett and Damien a lesson they'll never forget. With a smile on my face, I pick up the phone and dial my lawyer's number. The game is on, and I'm ready to play. The dining room is set for dinner, the table adorned with Gerald's finest china and silverware. I've spent the day preparing a lavish meal, determined to make this evening one that Scarlett and Damien will never forget. As they arrive, I greet them at the door with a smile, playing the part of the dutiful mother. Scarlett eyes me suspiciously, but says nothing as she and Damien take their seats at the table. "Thank you both for coming," I say, taking my own seat at the head of the table. "I know we've had our differences lately, but I thought it was important for us to sit down and talk things through." Scarlett snorts, her face twisted into a sneer. "Talk things through? Mom, there's nothing to talk about. You need to stop being so stubborn and do what's best for everyone." I take a sip of my wine, my eyes never leaving hers. "And what exactly is best for everyone, Scarlett? Selling my home and giving you and Damien my money." Damien leans forward, his voice low and menacing. Vivian, we're not playing games here. You need to stop being so selfish and think about your family. I can't help but laugh at the irony of his statement. My family? Damien, you and Scarlett have done nothing but try to manipulate and control me since Gerald passed away. You don't care about my well-being, only about what you can get from me. Scarlett's face turns red with anger. How dare you accuse us of being selfish? We're only trying to do what's best for you, Mom. You're not capable of making these decisions on your own. I smile, a sense of satisfaction filling me. That's where you're wrong, Scarlett. I am more than capable of making my own decisions, and I have no intention of letting you or Damien control me any longer. I reach into my pocket and pull out a copy of Gerald's trust, sliding it across the table to them. This is what your father left me, Scarlett, a trust with clear instructions for how the money is to be used. And I can assure you, it doesn't involve giving it to you or Damien. Damien snatches up the paper, his eyes scanning the text. This is ridiculous. That money belongs to us, not some stupid charities. We'll contest the trust, take it to court if we have to. I shake my head, a sense of pity filling me. You can try, Damien, but I can assure you, it won't do you any good. The trust is ironclad, and I have no intention of letting you get your hands on a single penny. Scarlett's eyes fill with tears, but I know they're not tears of sorrow or remorse. They're tears of frustration and anger at being thwarted in her attempts to control me. You'll regret this, Mom, she hisses, standing up from the table. You'll see. We'll find a way to get what's rightfully ours, one way or another. Damien follows suit, his face twisted into a snarl. This isn't over, Vivian. Not by a long shot. As they storm out of the house, I sit back in my chair, a sense of relief washing over me. I know that the battle is far from over, that Scarlett and Damien will stop at nothing to get their hands on Gerald's money. But I also know that I have the upper hand, thanks to my husband's careful planning and foresight. And I have no intention of letting them win. I glance down at the trust once more, a sense of determination filling me. It's time to put Gerald's plan into motion, to use his legacy to teach Scarlett and Damien a lesson they'll never forget. With a smile on my face, I stand up from the table and begin to clear the dishes. The game is on, and I'm ready to play. The courtroom is packed as I take my seat beside my lawyer, Robert Jensen. Scarlett and Damien sit at the opposite table, their faces twisted into identical expressions of anger and frustration. As the judge enters the room, I feel a sense of calm wash over me. I know that the truth is on my side, and that Gerald's careful planning will protect me from Scarlett and Damien's greed. The trial begins, and Scarlett's lawyer presents their case. They argue that the trust is invalid, that Gerald was not of sound mind when he created it. They paint me as a frail, confused old woman, incapable of managing my own affairs. But as Robert presents our evidence, it becomes clear that their arguments hold no weight. He presents Gerald's meticulous records, the years of careful planning and investment that went into creating the trust. He calls witness after witness, each one testifying to Gerald's mental acuity and my own competence. Scarlett and Damien's past mistreatment and neglect of me is laid bare for all to see, and I can see the anger and frustration growing on their faces with each passing moment. Finally, the judge reaches his decision. He rules in my favor, upholding the trust and Gerald's wishes. Scarlett and Damien are visibly shocked, their mouths hanging open in disbelief. As we leave the courtroom, Robert turns to me with a smile. Congratulations, Vivian. You did it. Gerald would be proud of you. I nod, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. But as we step outside, I see Scarlett and Damien waiting for us, their faces twisted with rage. This isn't over, Mom, Scarlett hisses, her voice low and menacing. We'll find a way to get what's rightfully ours one way or another. Damien nods, his eyes narrowing. You think you're so clever, don't you? But we'll see who has the last laugh. I shake my head, feeling a sense of pity for them both. Scarlett, Damien, it's time to let this go. The court has made its decision, and there's nothing more you can do. But they're not listening. They storm off, their faces twisted with anger and resentment. Over the next few weeks, I begin to notice strange things happening around the house. Items go missing, only to reappear in odd places. I receive threatening phone calls late at night, the caller breathing heavily before hanging up. I know that Scarlett and Damien are behind it all, but I refuse to let them intimidate me. I install security cameras around the property and hire a private investigator to keep an eye on their activities. And then, one day, I receive a phone call from the investigator. "Mrs. Hawthorne, I think you need to see this." He shows me surveillance footage of Scarlett and Damien meeting with a man in a dark alley. They hand him a thick envelope, and I can see the man nodding and smiling. "I did some digging," the investigator says. "The man they're meeting with is a known forger. I think they're planning to create fake documents to challenge the trust." I feel a sense of anger wash over me, but I force myself to remain calm. I know that I need to act quickly before Scarlett and Damien can put their plan into motion. I contact Robert and tell him what I've discovered. Together, we begin to gather evidence of Scarlett and Damien's illegal activities, building a case against them. It's not easy, and there are times when I feel like giving up. But I know that I can't let them win, not after everything they've put me through. Finally, we have enough evidence to take to the authorities. Scarlett and Damien are arrested, and I watch as they're led away in handcuffs, their faces twisted with shock and disbelief. As I stand there, watching them disappear into the back of a police car, I feel a sense of satisfaction wash over me. I know that Gerald would be proud of me, proud of the way I've stood up for myself and protected his legacy. And I know that, no matter what happens next, I'll never let anyone take advantage of me again. The news of Scarlett and Damien's arrest spreads quickly, and soon the story is all over the local media. Reporters camp out on my lawn, clamoring for a statement, but I refuse to give them the satisfaction. Instead, I focus on the task at hand. With Robert's help, I begin the process of exposing Scarlett and Damien's illegal activities to the world. We release the evidence we've gathered to the authorities, and soon, the full extent of their crimes becomes clear. Not only were they attempting to forge documents to challenge the trust, but they had also been embezzling money from Damien's company for years. As the investigation unfolds, more and more people come forward with stories of Scarlett and Damien's misdeeds. Former employees, business partners, even friends and family members, all of them paint a picture of a couple consumed by greed and a lust for power. And then, the final blow. Damien's company files for bankruptcy, and he and Scarlett are left with nothing. Their assets are seized, their bank accounts frozen, they're facing years in prison, and a lifetime of shame and disgrace. As I watch the news reports, I can't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Finally, after all these years, Scarlett and Damien are facing the consequences of their actions. But even as I savor my victory, I know that my work is not yet done. I still have Gerald's trust to contend with, and the task of distributing the money according to his wishes. I meet with Robert and the trustees of the charities Gerald had chosen, and together we begin the process of allocating the funds. It's a daunting task, but I know that it's what Gerald would have wanted. As the weeks pass, I watch as the money begins to make a real difference in people's lives. Children receive life-saving medical treatments. Families are given a second chance at a better life. And with each passing day, I feel a sense of peace and fulfillment that I haven't known in years. But there's one more thing I need to do. With a portion of the money from the trust, I book a trip around the world to all the places Gerald and I had always dreamed of visiting together. As I pack my bags, I can't help but feel a sense of excitement and adventure. I know that Gerald will be with me every step of the way, guiding me and watching over me. And as I step out of my house and into the waiting taxi, I feel a sense of freedom and joy that I haven't known in years. Finally, after all the pain and heartache, I'm ready to start living again. The taxi pulls away from the curb, and I watch as my house disappears from view. I know that I'll be back someday, but for now, I'm ready to embrace the future and all the possibilities it holds. As I settle back into my seat, I can't help but smile. I know that Gerald would be proud of me, proud of the way I've stood up for myself and protected his legacy. And I know that, no matter what happens next, I'll always have the memories of our life together to sustain me. The laughter, the love, the joy, those are the things that truly matter, and they're the things that will stay with me forever. As the taxi speeds down the highway, I close my eyes and let the wind rush over me. For the first time in a long time, I feel truly alive, truly free. And I know that, whatever the future holds, I'm ready to face it head on, with courage and determination. Because in the end, that's what Gerald would have wanted for me, and it's what I want for myself. So I sit back, and I watch the world go by, ready for whatever adventures lie ahead. And I know that, no matter what happens, I'll always have the love and support of those who truly matter. And that, in the end, is all anyone can really ask for.